The Legend of Maula Jatt will be the first Pakistani film releasing in India after 10 years. There has been a ban on Pakistani artists ever since the Uri attack in 2016. In November 2023, the Supreme Court dismissed a plea seeking a complete ban on artists from Pakistan to perform or work in India. However, even after that, no release has happened. This is the first time a film is releasing, and that too with a caveat. The caveat is this will be a partial release. The movie will only be out in Punjab on the 2nd of October, not in other parts of the country. In Maharashtra, the Maharashtra Navnirman Sena is up in arms already, threatening disruption and proclaiming that they will not allow the release of a Pakistani film. In a tweet, Raj Thackeray says, "Why are films of Pakistani actors allowed to be released in India? It is fine that art has no borders for other cases, but in the case of Pakistani actors, this will not work at all. The government should not allow the film to be released in any state of the country, let alone Maharashtra." We'll show you that tweet. We'll also play out the sound bites that has come in on this. It's primarily Maharashtra Nirman Sena in Maharashtra that has raised the heckles over this issue. You're watching Viewpoint. I'm Afrida Rahman Ali. Let's first play out some of the sound bites that we have on this. Anand Dubey of MNS has spoken on this matter, and also we have Ameya Kopra, beg your pardon, who spoke on this. Let's listen in.
अगर किसी ने जरूरत की तो बहुत ही कड़क आंदोलन होगा। और जिस प्रकार से ये जो शुरू कर रहे हैं ये लोग, ये शुरुआत है इनकी पाकिस्तानी कलाकारों को यहाँ पे लाने की, इसका जरूर विरोध होगा। बिल्कुल हम लोग ये नहीं करेंगे पाकिस्तानी कलाकारों यहाँ पे, और नहीं मतलब नहीं। मैं पूरे भारत भर के लोगों को, बाकी के राज्यों को मैं आह्वान करता हूं कि अपने अपने राज्यों में आप कोई भी पाकिस्तानी फिल्में या पाकिस्तानी कलाकारों को एंटरटेन ना करें। यहाँ पे सरहद पे हमारे जवान शहीद हो रहे, हमारे शहरों में पाकिस्तान की ओर से हमले हो रहे, हमारे जवान मारे जा रहे हैं, और हमें क्या इन पाकिस्तानी कुत्तों की हमें यहाँ पे क्या फिल्में देखनी है? और जरूरत क्या है हमें इन पाकिस्तानी लोगों को यहाँ पे एंटरटेन करने की? क्या हमारे पास हिंदुस्तान में टैलेंट नहीं है? हिंदुस्तान में कलाकार नहीं है? हिंदुस्तान में अच्छी फिल्में नहीं बनती? हमें कोई जरूरत नहीं पाकिस्तानी कलाकारों की, बिल्कुल।
So that is what you have from certain political leaders, and this is MNS in Maharashtra that we're talking about. They have been vocal in their protest against any Pakistani content releasing in India, and this is no exception. So we also have Mr. Anand Dubey, who gives out his reasons why this should not release in India. Listen in.
है कि हमारे भारत देश का सबसे बड़ा दुश्मन पाकिस्तान है। पाकिस्तान अपने आतंकवादियों को भेजकर हमारे देश में हमले करवाता है, हमारे जवानों को शहीद करता है, हमारे जान माल का नुकसान करवाता है। और उसी पाकिस्तान का एक्टर है फवाद खान, जिसकी मूवी आ रही है द लेजेंड ऑफ मौला जट, जो कि भारत में 2 अक्टूबर से प्रदर्शित होने वाली है। क्यों भाई, क्या जरूरत है? हमारे देश में क्या कलाकार नहीं है? हमारे देश में क्या फिल्में नहीं बनती हैं? हम अपने देश के कलाकारों की फिल्में देखेंगे, खूब देखेंगे, देखते ही हैं। पाकिस्तान के कलाकारों के पिक्चर्स को भारत में प्रदर्शन करने की क्या आवश्यकता है? क्यों हम अपने कष्ट के पैसों से उनकी पिक्चर देखें, वो पैसा कमाएं, फिर उसी पैसे से उनकी सरकार, उनके लोग, उनके आतंकवादी हमारे देश में हमले करवाएं? कोई जरूरत नहीं है। लेकिन दुख तब होता है जब प्रधानमंत्री जी, गृह मंत्री जी, सूचना प्रसारण मंत्री जी, आप लोग कहां हैं? आप ये कैसे होने दे सकते हैं जब तय हो चुका है कि पाकिस्तान एक आतंकवादी देश है, पाकिस्तान एक निकम्मा है, पाकिस्तान नहीं चाहता कि हिंदुस्तान और भारत खुशहाल रहे? तो ऐसे देश से हमें कोई संबंध क्यों रखना? क्यों उनकी पिक्चर देखना? क्यों उनके साथ क्रिकेट खेलना? क्यों उनके साथ कोई ताल्लुक रखना? हम अपने देश में बहुत सारी मूवी, बहुत सारी फिल्में बनाने में सक्षम है, हमारे कलाकार सक्षम है, हम उनको देखेंगे। भारत सरकार से हाथ जोड़ के निवेदन है कि यह मूवी पूरे देश में कहीं भी प्रदर्शित न हो, और न तो कोई ऐसी कोशिश करे।
So you heard that largely that's the sentiment from MNS, and one is not surprised because here is a party that has been always protesting on issues like this, and they have been extremely disruptive. They've also resorted to vandalism. We know a number of instances before. The question here is the Supreme Court has given a clearance. The Supreme Court declined to restrict Pakistani artists from performing in India. That order was passed in November last year. Since that order, there have been, of course, many proposals, many such movies that were considering release. But this is the first time something has worked out. And The Legend of Maula Jatt, that in that sense is the first movie that would have seen a theatrical release. But even there now, we see that there is a tremendous amount of resistance. In this movie, you have popular actor Fawad Khan, who is again extremely popular in India as well. We saw him in movies like Kapoor and Sons, acting with Alia Bhatt. So Mahira Khan also acted in a number of movies, including one with Shah Rukh Khan. I'm going to have a conversation with my colleague Prathamesh, who I think is with me now. Prathamesh, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Welcome. So I
Good to
want to
see you.
brainstorm, same here. Want to brainstorm with you few of these things that are now in public discourse. I played out the sound bites from MNS leaders, and it is predictable. I also want to, at some stage, put out the tweet that Raj Thackeray has put out on Twitter. So, the first of all, let me have a confirmation from you. Is it confirmed that the Legend of Maula Jatt will only release in Punjab and nowhere else in India on the 2nd of October?
Yeah, that's what I gather from the news. That's what I gather from my sources. And if there are recent developments that Punjab will stick to what earlier was promised, then we have to wait and watch. But as of now, only that state was permitted. In fact, the state permitted to to it for the film to be screened.
Hmm. But is it because of these threats, calls, and these, outfits like MNS who have said that we will not allow the movie to release, or is it a state by state case that the release has been banned in other parts? How did this come about?
Aprita, the way I see it, it is more of snowballing effect. It is more of a cascade effect. That is, if one political party has taken a strong stance at it, then perhaps others are following suit. They are following what others are doing for the larger impact. Nobody wants to deal with it. And in that zone, I think everybody will follow what has been stated.
Yeah, the distributor, I believe, Prathamesh has given an interview, at least in the midday. That's what I read. He says that it was Bollywood which started the practice of Pakistani actors not being allowed to work in India. Other film industries, apparently, and here is a distinction being made with Punjab film industry and South film industry. And apparently, South doesn't have a problem, which is what the distributor says, that this is our Bahubali and it should release everywhere, and the South audience will appreciate it. Do you see this releasing in the South?
I think it's more of a debate where Bollywood becomes a soft target, and whatever happens with Bollywood then becomes a global news. And when that happens, and if you are embroiled in a controversy, that affects the commerce. And there are many various stakes, various things are at stake. The bigger the industry you are, the bigger the star you are, then you are likely to suffer more than the other industries. Since Bollywood goes global, I feel and I suspect that Bollywood does not want to get involved in this because the stakes, as I said, are higher. The impact is global. We can have discussions and debate over it, but nobody can, say with a certain amount of definitiveness.
Hmm. So let's in fact listen in, Prathamesh, to this little clip that I took out of two anchors, just like you and me, who are
Hmm,
discussing. I mean, this is another podcast, but this was aired on in Pakistan. This is on YouTube. Obviously, it's available to everyone.
hmm,
I think this a podcaster's name is Hassan, and I just discovered this today when I was doing my research for this topic,
hmm.
where here are two individuals talking about
शायद इसके
whether
बारे में
they
सोचा
should be
जा रहा है।
happy that
मेरा
this
पर्सनली
movie
ख्याल
is
ये है कि टू
releasing in
टेस्ट
India. Let's
वाटर्स
listen in.
थोड़ी सी खबर निकाली गई थी कि देखें रिएक्शन क्या आता है। अब फाइनली पता चला जी कि आई थिंक 2 अक्टूबर से इंडिया में फिल्म रिलीज,
लेकिन इफ आई एम नॉट मिस्टेकन पंजाब में हो रही है सिर्फ।
पंजाब इंक्लूडिंग दिल्ली एज वेल,
राइट।
दिल्ली में भी हो रही है। तो ये हो रहा है। आज बहरहाल खबर आई कि किसी सेना के किसी पॉलिटिशियन ने कहा जी कि ना हम फिल्म रिलीज होने देंगे
ठीक है।
और ना हम पाकिस्तानी आर्टिस्ट को देना चाहेंगे। आपके पास अंदरून की कोई खबर है?
नहीं है मेरे पास, मैं राब्ता मेरा बना नहीं उन लोगों के साथ, और मेरे ख्याल है शायद वो देना भी नहीं चाह रहे इस वक्त कोई भी कमेंट, जब तक कि कोई चीज़ कॉन्क्रीट, पहले भी इसीलिए नहीं कंफर्म किया पब्लिकली कि भाई इस किस्म की कोई चीज़, हमेशा आप एंटिसिपेट करते हैं, खबर निकल जाए तो फिर लोग उसको काउंटर करने के लिए काम शुरू कर देते हैं। सो नहीं है मेरे पास, बट I hope things, materialize and it does manage to release, and I also hope that Indian films may manage to release in Pakistan. Yeah.
नव निर्मल सेना, ये जो एक्सट्रीमिस्ट ग्रुप है, इन्होंने कहा है कि जी जो फवाद खान के फैंस हैं इंडिया में, इंडियन फैंस को कहा है वो ट्रेटर्स हैं, गद्दार हैं, और उन्होंने कहा जी कि हम रिलीज़ नहीं होने देंगे और पाकिस्तानी एक्टर्स को भी नहीं काम करने देंगे। अब मुझे पता है फॉर अ फैक्ट के समथिंग हॉट के भी और पाकिस्तानी ड्रामों की, पाकिस्तानी एक्टर्स की बहुत बड़ी तादाद में फ़ैन्स इंडिया में मौजूद हैं, हमें भी बहुत ज़्यादा प्यार भेजते हैं, और बाकी जो हमारे पाकिस्तानी सितारे हैं उनके काम को देखते भी हैं, सराहते भी, और उनको भी बहुत प्यार भेजते हैं। तो मुझे यकीन है कि अब वो आवाज़ उठाएंगे और जो इस तरह के एक्सट्रीमिस्ट एलिमेंट्स हैं उनका मुकाबला करेंगे, और ये रास्ते और राहें हमवार करेंगे ताकि लोग ये फिल्म देख सकें। इसमें कोई नेशनलिस्टिक एजेंडा नहीं है द लेजेंड ऑफ मौला जट के पीछे। ये वैसी कोई फिल्म है नहीं कि जिसमें इंसान बोले कि ठीक है यार आप बैन कर
दूर तक कोई
ताल्लुक ही नहीं है। प्योरली इन टर्म्स ऑफ
एंटरटेनमेट,
एज अ वर्क ऑफ आर्ट, चाहे वो डायरेक्शन हो, चाहे वो एक्टिंग हो, चाहे वो VFX हो, बिल्कुल एक्शन हो, वो सब इतना टॉप नॉच है कि हमारी ख्वाहिश है कि दूसरे ममालिक के लोग भी देखें उस फिल्म को। बहुत सारे लोग अभी तक नहीं देख सके मौला जट, और इतनी कामयाबी के बावजूद लोग देखना चाहते हैं। तो आई थिंक उनको ये हक हासिल है कि वो देखें। और अगर इंडिया में फिल्म रिलीज होने जा रही है तो इसका मतलब है कि जो भी नेसेसरी रिक्वायरमेंट्स, परमिशंस थी वो ली गई हैं, NOC मिला है तो गई है ना, ऐसे तो नहीं चली जाती। तो हुकूमत की तरफ से इजाज़त है तो मिल रही है ना।
मगर ये यहाँ भी होता है कि हुकूमत की तरफ से एक चीज़ क्लियर कर लेती है सेंसर बोर्ड को, लेकिन आगे जाके पब्लिक उस पे ऑब्जेक्शन पे वो रुक जाती है।
तो हुकूमतों को चाहिए कि वो
वही उनासिर उधर भी हैं जो यहाँ हैं। हाँ। तो फिर सब वही बात है।
तो हम यहाँ पे, जब यहाँ पे होता है तो हम उसके खिलाफ आवाज़ उठाते हैं
जी,
और जब वहाँ पे हो रहा है तो मैं चाहूँगा कि जो हमारे प्यारे वहाँ पे हैं, जो हमारी फैमिली है, इंडियन फैमिली, वो भी उसके खिलाफ आवाज़ उठाएं और थोड़ा सा पुश करें यार इस तरह की जो सोचें और इस तरह के लोग हैं।
जी।
मैंने जो खबर पढ़ी थी उसमें ये भी लिखा हुआ था आमना कि देयर इज गोइंग टू बी एन OTT प्रीमियर एज वेल। OTT कहाँ पे आ रही है? लीडिंग इंडियन प्लेटफॉर्म पे। मेरे पास इतनी नॉलेज है, अभी तक मुझे इससे ज़्यादा नहीं पता, बट पहले ये 2 अक्टूबर को ये खबर आई थी कि रिलीज़ हो रही है, और जो मैंने खबर पढ़ी वो था कि एज़ कंफर्म बाय हमारा हिकमत जो कि प्रोड्यूसर है, और ना सिर्फ ये कि वो इंडिया में रिलीज़ होगी, उसके बाद इंडिया के एक लीडिंग OTT प्लेटफॉर्म पे भी अवेलेबल होगी देखने के लिए।
ठीक है।
We wish the entire
Right. So, Prathamesh, here you have a Pakistani podcaster imploring their counterparts in India to fight for this film. Where do you stand on this issue? Like here, of course, I just heard this is a Pakistani point of view that this film has nothing to do with politics. It's a story about a legendary man who fought, with valor, with various battles in his life, etc. So there is no sort of reference to any hostility with India or any such thing. I mean, it deserves to be seen. Where do you stand on this?
I strongly believe that films reflect what is happening in society. So films also act as a soft power. Where I stand personally is the fact that when you watch a film, the way it influences you, the conscious in general, in totality, is great. The impact is larger. Having said that, I also feel that if we are putting pressure on a country diplomatically, why not why not use the soft power to sustain the pressure, which are films.
Okay. So you're saying that somewhere culture does play a part as well, and allowing that sort of a leeway or in one area and then not being as open in another area doesn't work. You have to maintain consistency. From what I gather, that's what you're saying, that there is a connect and you cannot separate culture from
Absolutely. You said,
politics.
Afrida. I mean, we want it to be detached, but these two things are not exactly inseparable. The standpoint from which I see the things unfolding, I think that whatever is shown in films and whatever films capture in a sense should transcend political environment and social environment. Having said that, there are certain issues where we need to take stands as far as the safety of the country goes. And as I said earlier, if you're putting pressure diplomatically, why not exploit that soft power that we have to sustain that pressure?
Okay, point taken. I'm just going to, in fact, talk about a little bit about what has come in from Mr. Raj Thackeray, because that is what has sparked this debate once again about whether art should be above politics and whether these sort of outfits should hijack, issues like this and decide what is to be released in India and what is not. Raj Thackeray has warned against the release, and the MNS leader in his tweet says, and I quote, it's in Marathi, so this is an English translation: Pakistani actor Fawad Khan's movie titled The Legend of Maula Jatt is going to be released in India soon. MNS will not allow the movie to be released in Maharashtra under any circumstances. Why are films of Pakistani actors allowed to be released in India? Art has no borders, which is fine in other cases, but in the case of Pakistani actors, this will not work. This is what Mr. Raj Thackeray says. In fact, he also says that government should not allow this film to be released in any state of the country, let alone Maharashtra. The politician cautioned against releasing the film during Navratri to avoid any conflict. So there is an element of playing safe here as well, isn't it, Prathamesh? Because law and order is a state subject, and prevention is better than cure sort of a policy is taken by some state governments, that if you allow the release, there's going to be trouble in the theaters, and if you are to avoid that sort of violence, might as well restrict the release. Do you think that could have been the position why a partial release only is allowed so far?
As you said correctly, I feel that nip it in the bud if possible. If it is going to gain momentum and snowball into larger controversy, why not nip it in the bud in the first place? Second, why take risk? And third is we support art. Mr. Raj Thackeray himself is an artist, a cartoonist. So he understands from the viewpoint of art as well that art, human emotions transcend political environment. Having said that, when it comes to assuring certainty to people that certain things, certain elements, in this case films, if they're screened, they may galvanize into something bigger at hand, and that would be difficult to avoid or to deal with.
Right. But in the larger context, Prathamesh, I'm going to weigh in and say that this could then, be used by others as well, and there would be no end to it. Every content may have one or two sections of people who are not happy with their reflection, with their projection, with their representation. So where does it stop? I'm just saying there is that other point of view, which will say that we will always have reason to object to certain things in art. Should we then not allow art to transcend boundaries? Should we not allow artists? Why should we confine them to boundaries? In fact, Prathamesh, you'll know better than me that both Fawad Khan and Mahira has a huge following in India, but their work has not been allowed to be released. Do you think it's fair? Because I think the shoe would be on the other foot as well at some point, where we would want our artists to travel abroad, to be acceptable anywhere in the world. Don't you think the same yardstick should be applied to Pakistani artists as well?
I think world over, yes, but when it comes to Pakistan, the stand and the stance could differ. I don't know how much soft power we want to exploit as the industry, be it Bollywood or other film industry in Pakistan. And as you said, that our films have been going to Japan, China, and which other countries, and their films are also welcome. Korea, for that matter. But when it comes to Pakistan, there is this wound that has not healed yet. And having said that, there is a large, humongous, massive following for Fawad, not just in India, but Pakistan as well, quite obviously. I think the message that goes very loud and clear here is that can Fawad and Mahira also use their influence to dictate terms in Pakistan and convey the message to the establishment as well as the army that if certain things are guaranteed from our side, safety guidelines are maintained, and we do not pose as a threat, things could probably change in India.
Yes, Prathamesh, you and me may have our individual opinions on it, but there is a law of the land. Matters go to court. The Supreme Court, when this matter came up to ban all Pakistani artists, in November 2023, the Supreme Court actually did not entertain such a plea. It dismissed a plea seeking a complete ban on artists from Pakistan to perform or work in India. So, insofar as the law of the land is concerned, there is no restriction. It is only outfits like MNS then who's calling the shots. Do you really think that's fair?
I think as a law-abiding citizens, you and me, we follow the law, we respect the law, and it should be respected at any cost. MNS has a stand on it. They are protecting their stance on it, and they have their reasons for it. Now, what influence does it make, and to what level it reaches? We have to wait and watch. And how many people support their cause or support their stand? Only time will reflect.
All right. So, to the question of whether art should be above politics, whether artists should transcend boundaries, we may have a difference of opinion, but it's always good to have a difference of opinion. Prathamesh, I appreciate your joining me here today. Quick last word, if you have any, on the issue of artists specifically, forget the movie.
Hmm.
Do you think the artists themselves also should not be allowed? Or you think, general cross cultural exchanges? I'm not talking about movies, people
Yeah.
to people connect.
Absolutely. And that's the magic of media. When I say media, it's not just journalists or news anchors, it's a medium. Like films, advertising, and journalism comes together. It's a cohesive force, right? So what happens is art plays a huge role in that. So in that sense, we are artists too. We respect art. We also respect the fact that art should transcend the boundaries of political gains or political controversies. Having said that, if you ask me personally to choose between artist and country, then I would say for the safety of country, if certain measures are taken and certain guidelines are followed, I'm all for it.
Nationalism above poetic license and creative liberty. Thank you so
Also,
much. No, carry on.
appreciate it.
Finish your point.
No, I almost did. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, and good to have you on the show. Have a
Always
nice day.
pleasure. Always pleasure to hear your viewpoint as well.
Likewise. Thanks very much.